stepped outside. The rain had stopped, and a new breeze reminded me of the drinks had. And then, to dear Miss Penny, I felt we would speak soon. But now I had a lead. First real clue in the 12 hours before this place. I perused up the street and lit a cigarette. I'd been thinking I needed to stop this pasty little habit, you see, but I truly enjoyed it now. And this was my first taste in a while. Despite my strain, I felt good, relaxed and calming, and it was almost as if I felt relief through every muscle in my body. For a while, it seemed, I wandered through dreams, passing the shops, dark corners, and idle streets. There was a lividness, you see, in the surroundings, its impact right currents of sensation for my awareness. It didn't last long, though, this deep in soul mental state, for arrived at the theater, looking up to its display. I felt a dark presence as I studied the characters and the lettering, a heavy sensation that gripped the wake of this domain. This was new to me. I'd been here before, and fairly recently, I might add. Was it the hour, or perhaps the weight of this mystery beginning to settle in? In any question, I decided it would do little to ponder so stationary, and continued toward the entrance considering, yet focused keen to the new details of my surroundings. I walked past the front entrance to the side passage in the alley, playing out in my head how this scene I was about to embark on would turn out. The lock would be no trick, and after several moments I would find my way inside. It felt gloomy after hours, and my heart was racing, even though I was assured there was no night guard sentries, no watch to observe this trail of doom. I proceeded quietly past the concession, and made my way into the darkness of the stage room. It was very dark indeed, save for dim light that pervaded from backstage. There was only one back there, this too I knew, and proceeded a little quicker now, but all the more quiet, even under the amber notes from a record player on the small wooden table directly center stage under a narrow spotlight. I pulled myself up, ensuring a stable footing, and I proceeded under the cover of music through careful movements. It was then I heard it. He was attempting to recreate the quaint notes of the upbeat swing, but it was a disaster now that continued to covet my focus, a blanket of alertness through its quick and peculiar rhythm. I moved to the closest curtain panel at the right end of the stage, hearing by direction the position of the broadcast. I passed through the dark fabric, through a thick and heavy musk that scented off the stitching in the fabric. I walked to the edge of the shadowy tunnel, pausing before the break in the curtain to a large wooden hallway that led deeper backstage. I peered over, and there, just ahead, it was Ray Felix, combing his hair and grooming himself, and I took these distracted moments to proceed closer toward him. It was livid, and I crept, my mind slipping up. Almost he could, if he turned around, for there was a pistol at his hip, tucked in the pants, his shirt slightly draped over. But I took hold, you see, and focused only on the objective, looking for change or any sudden shift in his movements. I took one step, and then two, and then no step, as he turned, looking down at the comb in his hands. He looked up and he jumped back, reaching for his weapon. He was younger in his skills of combat, I could tell, and I leapt forward and knocked the vehicle of doom from his pulling grip. I flicked it some distance behind him, and it was lost behind boxes and costume racks, wardrobes and props.
What?
He exclaimed, stumbling back.
Why are you here so late in this hour?
Who the hell are you? Ain't you ever heard of work in the late hour? Ain't you ever heard of work in the late hour?
I am here in the investigation of a recent local disappearance,
I said.
And seeing as you are the only one here, and with a firearm.
I opened my coat, finding the inner pocket as I caught my badge. I reached for my notebook.
Where were you the night of December 10th, 1953?
Raising the pen, I put pencil to position. I looked up at him, watching without expression.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had no idea you was enforcement.
Not enforcement,
I replied,
but a very capable private eye.
Oh,
he says, through a relay, almost sour, like he has attained some higher ground or position of power.
Oh, so what the hell you doing? You go home and contact me in the morning.
Ain't happening,
I said, now pacing toward him. He retracted at first, but then found strength to muscle forward.
I need answers. Now.
Who the hell do you think you are? You've no right to be here. This is private property now. Come back with an inspection notice if you wish to pry into my affairs,
he said, and we met face to face. He was shorter, by the way, just a little longer, and it may have been a strain for him to look up at me as I watched him over my orbiting pupils.
I get the information I'm demanding, and neither one of us is leaving until that is that.
You're crazy. You that. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna have half of the union after you.
Where were you the night September 10th, 1953? 2 nights ago, you see. Surely you recall.
Fine. I was putting on a show. I'm back here every day.
1:30 a.m. is the time in question. You only have Mary Madam Gwen playing Fridays, and it ends in the 11:30s, so once again, where were you?
Well, after the show, I was drinking here, working on some new bits, when quite frankly, I felt haughty and hot-headed, so I took a steamy shower, you see?
He said, appearing to cooperate, but something seemed off place. I recognized drooling details in his manner.
He
He scratched the top of his head and looked at me from his shifty glance, accusing.
Get the hell out of here, or tomorrow you'll be fried. I'm a part of many networks that could level you, you stupid brat.
He tried to run, but it did ill little, for I chased him all through the place. It was when he came full circle, he tired and I approached, calmly smiling. I took a step forward, and he swung at me. I dodged effortless and moved in, striking him just beneath the chin, forcing him back by the chest as he stumbled back again, and he tripped. He hit the ground with a hard thud and I moved to pin him down so he wouldn't flee again. But he thought he could, and again, I gave him a good smack as he fell back into place. He certainly was unconscious, but my blow didn't render him unabled. It must have been the fear, and he lay there all motionless. I looked at his hand, but the ring was gone. There was a white ring of skin around his finger, unless he just removed it, and I'd not considered that likely. Odd. I decided to rise and search the place, but make no mistake, I couldn't find any ring. I stepped in the little tornado's office, the whirling man in question still laying there on the floor. How do I know? Just glanced, peeked my head out the door. I lifted the desk work, a parade of mumbles as the ignorant artwork was a valiant clue as to why I should be here. There was the cold press of anxiety as the lofty air became heavy where it was once concealment, a blanket shroud that made all appear normalcy, until there was new information unfolded before me. Inside the desk drawer, tucked up underneath the surface of the desk, was a tightly bound yellow envelope. It's yellow, and it reads 2 dates, September 10th and September 12th, 1953.
Bingo.
I say, that's a bingo indeed, and the desk is a mess, so I open the contents at my feet. I am shocked. A horrible revelation, you see. Something so sinister, it must go without saying. I push the files aside, finding one thing of note that I shall use here tonight. A photograph, our speedy little rat standing next to one face we all knew in these parts, Mayor Ian Blind's. There are several of these photo sequences, the mayor and the rat in social places looking as joyful as any of us. Clearly, the mayor is calling the shots, and our little turbulent tornado must have been the lapdog. Only difference was, I think Dog was the one giving the master treats. I was disgusted. This place was too much for me, and I could see now a way out. For the world beckoned my attention to the door. I should leave this place, drown out this case, as it need not exist, and live for some other frontier of focus. Maybe Miss Penny. She mentioned she was a painter. Maybe we settle down in a faraway town and a home call our own. Maybe a view of a few trees and open plains, or maybe the landscape is curvy and the sun stretches over, a luminant catch, a field of caressing veins of light. There could be even thunder. In any case, I would lower, but my vision was disrupted as my hand started to vibrate. A moment numb. I looked down, and it was only then I heard the gunshot, but the smoke had already started to drift away. But it was gone now. I looked down at the body, still smelled the airborne gunpowder. With 2 shots in his head, I moved about as quickly as I could, down the wooden length, cutting into the main theater showroom, running cross stage. I leap over its must have been 5-foot drop, and with fluid grace, continue up the row. I am outside the auditorium, passing concession again, moving just the same to the side entrance, out the alley. I must be quick, but what am I worried about? Everything's fine. It's like a lie. Whatever happened, don't sweat it. And I find my bearing and coo casually out of the alleyway, stopping for just a moment on the bright light over the pavement sidewalk. I take a breath. It is here I find a little clarity under this basking cone of bright warmth, one of an endless many along these street corners. I look around, taking in every little detail along this street. And it's like sweet talk, the way the dream whispers to me, the geometry of my surroundings placed so perfectly, and radiating something satisfactory. And it was then I knew this station, this dream, this we must protect. For all to see, for all to see.